Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Warren. I'd really like to thank Arnold Schwarzenegger, actually. Because he brought us all together. And he keeps us all together. You know, consumer attorneys out there, the California nurses have stood with you, you've stood with us, and we really just love you. You know, Warren, charm and charisma, you know, I think everybody obviously knows about your charm and charisma, but you know, for us, I think with the nurses, besides the charm and charisma, we've seen the burning intelligence that you have. I mean, you're just unbelievable. It's this boundless passion. Just in terms of protecting democracy, Warren Beatty is there. And I mean, he lives, I mean, there's like two lives almost. There's, you know, the Warren Beatty, the great everything in Hollywood. And then there's Warren Beatty, the political activist, who really, I mean, just is a fountain of creativity. And really, I mean, an incredible tactician. That's what we found, strategist and tactician. And he's very serious about it, and he'll keep you on the phone until you agree with him. So. Arvin, Jamie, Doug, Jerry, staff of FTCR, thank you so much for this great honor, really. I just, and you know, the amount of respect I have and the nurses have and all of us in this room have for the work that you do, your relentless energy, your uncompromising spirit, and the unending dedication and persistence to fight for social justice every day for all of us. It just, I mean, you touch our hearts. You really do. And we know how much that you give. I want to acknowledge our president, Deborah Berger, with the California Nurses Association. Past President David Fay, leaders of the California Nurses Association. If you'd like to stand, nurses, and the California Nurses Association who are here tonight, stand up. You know, this award is a recognition of your leadership, your achievements, your vision, your advocacy, your courage, particularly to have someone like me as the executive director. And I also want to thank my fellow travelers over there, the CNA staff, who every day, all my life, we fight together and we fight each other. So, thank you. Last but first in my life, I want to recognize my mom, sitting over there by Warren and his daughter. My mom was actually personally responsible for getting me into all fights. She told me if I didn't stand up for myself and stand up for others, that I would have her to deal with. So in the best of Freudian tradition, my activism is generated by the fear of my mother's wrath. I love you, Mom, and I thank you for making me a warrior. I just have to say, when we finished November, we were celebrating the Arnold thing. I called my mom, I said, we kicked his ass. And my mom said, well, when are you going to do something about that guy in Washington, D.C.? What seems now almost surreal was that in November 2004, Arnold Schwarzenegger was perhaps the most famous politician in the world. He stood at nearly 70% in the polls, had raised tens of millions in campaign contributions, and he had just used his fame to get George Bush reelected in Ohio, if you recall. He was riding high, he was belittling any opposition, calling them losers, girly men, and stooges. Then Schwarzenegger decided, on behalf of his healthcare corporate donors, to roll back our hard-won law requiring hospitals to have enough registered nurses to safely take care of patients. Almost everyone, except Harvey, Jamie, Warren, of course, and Phil, you were there with us. You were there all the way down the line in the beginning, Phil Angelides, and we recognized that. And everyone was telling all of us, including Phil, I think, that this governor was too popular, too powerful to be challenged. The New World Order in America and California was one where you cut a deal, accept your losses, and move on, and we've all been there. The nurses of California did not agree. They would not let this governor deny them the right to care for their patients. Nurses are used to fighting. They have to fight every day against their administrators, the HMOs, and often the doctors to make sure their patients get the care that they need. So it didn't matter that others thought Schwarzenegger was unassailable. The nurses just took the fight from the hospitals to the streets. And suddenly, the world changed. We forced the media to look beyond Schwarzenegger's wardrobe and into his cash register politics. And we created, along with the FTCR, innovative protests that people weren't used to seeing. We flew planes, as you saw, over his home on Super Bowl Sunday, and then at his other fundraisers with the banners that you saw in the video. We did street theater at the Oscars. We chased Arnold to the Arnold Classic Bodybuilding Contest in Columbus, Ohio, where we shined a national spotlight on his ties to the quote-unquote nutritional supplement industry. We put the governor, this is my favorite, we put the governor up for bid on eBay. To give everyday people the opportunity to own the governor, not just corporations. eBay, I kept watching that, I was getting like, oh, it's enormous money. So eBay finally, after 8 hours, took our ad down, and it got up to millions. It was great. It was great. And then they said to the paper when asked why they took our ad down, he said, "You can't sell the governor on eBay." I don't know, it seems like he's being sold every day. Halloween, throughout California, all throughout California, we handed out Arnold masks with his corporate donor stamped on his forehead. We followed him around in buses and crashed his campaign parties. And the final, with Warren and Annette actually joining us on the bus in the last week of the campaign, which I think was pretty significant because there were some iffy times there. As a hilarious side note, what I loved was that we would crash this fundraiser or his party or whatever he was doing to try to get out the vote, and they would say, "Warren Beatty and Annette Bening, those Hollywood liberals, are outside," and everybody would start applauding and come on, trying to get their autographs. It was too much. So Warren was dignified and would not do autographs. Oh, that was funny. I loved it because it's hitting right where it hurts. They were there because it's a superficial following that Schwarzenegger has, right? I mean, it's just like it's about his celebrity. And so when we had these, we turned the tide here. From California to New York, we did over 107 protests. We protested at all of his fundraisers and speeches that we could get to. At one speech, he was so rattled that he called the nurses a special interest. And then wisecracked that he was kicking nurses' butts, a remark that the San Francisco Chronicle later called his Waterloo. Along the way, a funny thing happened. As they saw Arnold's popularity begin to drop like a dead bird, a powerful coalition began to emerge. Our coalition of nurses, teachers, firefighters, of course the FTCR, Warren, Annette, unions, and consumer groups had a deep sense of resolve, knowing that this was a battle that had to be won. This is pretty serious, I mean, when you think about the times that we're in. The stakes were high. If Arnold's celebrity and the money of his corporate backers could buy an election, then California and America would never be the same. And as you all know, we won. And the corporations lost. And we won through a unity of common message, a shared goal, and an uncompromising will. Our message was that you must engage in civic responsibility, otherwise the corporations win. They own the airwaves, they own the laws, they write the laws, and they own most of our politicians, sad to say, but they will never have the heart of the people. Our collective victory gave everyday people hope and showed them that through organizing and mobilization, we can win, and we must not stop. We won a thrilling victory in November, but think about this. More than $317 million was wasted on a special election that nobody wanted except for Arnold's corporate backers. $317 million while low income and minority neighborhoods are seeing a sharp rise in home foreclosures. $317 million while some communities that depend on manufacturing jobs look like they've been hit with saturation bombing, and entire occupations are unemployed in this country. $317 million that could have been used to hire 40,000 more teachers at a time when we were facing disgraceful overcrowding in our classrooms. And all of you in this room knows that the list goes on and on.